All right, everyone, this might not be the longest video, but I just needed to open up my heart a little bit and try to help everyone understand why I'm so passionate about giving you the game, showing you my experiences, teaching as best as I can teach without a formal teaching background. And I think the main reason why I want this point to come across is because I felt the feelings that a lot of young men feel when they first get in the working world and they first try to have their grown-up jobs, and they want to be respectful, they want to be responsible, they want to make people proud, and it's stressful and it's heavy. That's the best way I can explain it, is that it's heavy. So the purpose of this video is to at least give you the freedom and the opportunity to see into my life and to understand that if you're a young man or a young woman and you're struggling with these same feelings, that it's okay to feel that way, and there's a way to advance and get out of those feelings if you're very, very focused on a few things. So without further ado, we're going to dive into why you do what you do and coming up with a real strategy behind how you're going to accomplish the things you want to accomplish in corporate America and in your life outside of corporate America. So for me, I ask myself three questions whenever I'm about to take a job, whenever I'm at a standstill in my life, or whenever I just think about what the bigger picture looks like. I ask myself, what do I want? Why do I want it? And what am I willing to do to get it? Those three questions have been the driving force behind pretty much every decision I've made business wise. Um, Sometimes they served me well, sometimes they haven't, but I'll give you a glimpse. So I'll start with story time. Story time for me was, 24 years old, just got married, had my corporate job, still had bad spending habits, broke as I could be, but I overextended myself because I was trying to present as a very accomplished young man. So bought a house I couldn't afford with a down payment that I didn't have, that I scraped to be able to pass the lending criteria on. Just got married, had my brand new wife and my brand new house, and going to this job into the outside world, I looked successful. But really, I was drowning in debt. I was stressed out. My health was starting to suffer from the stress. And my relationship was going very poorly because I couldn't see through this this thick cloud of, all the pressure of adulting that I had never felt before. So the happy go lucky me was gone. And now the stressed out, overworked, underpaid, underappreciated in my mind person was the only thing left. So I got to a breaking point when sometimes this is hard. I got to a breaking point when I was out with my wife at one of our niece's birthday parties. And I don't even remember the restaurant. It was probably TGI Friday. It couldn't have been anything more expensive than that. It was equivalent to TGI Friday. And we were so broke and we were so hungry. But at that time, the grocery budget was $50 a week. I kid you not. My wife can vouch for this. And I remember being in that restaurant with my wife, and she was such a trooper. And we were in there pretending like we weren't hungry. And we ordered water and we said we had eaten before we got there, but we just wanted to show love. And I never forget the look in her eyes when everybody else was ordering food and she knew we didn't have it. And I could see her eyes watering up. And I could feel the weight of the world on my shoulders. In that moment, I saw everything I needed to see, and I saw all of the shortcomings as a man that I never wanted to see in myself, but I could see it reflected in her watery eyes. And it was that moment where I decided what I wanted. And what I wanted was to be financially secure, not even financially free. I didn't even know what that was at the time. I knew I wanted to be financially secure enough where we would never be at any restaurant ever and she couldn't order whatever food she wanted. I wanted to be in a place where, as a man, as a provider, I would never give her that feeling of lack or want because it felt like I was the smallest man in the world in that moment to me. And that's just my own personal preference. Um, so that became my why. Now, of course, my why has changed multiple times since then, since having kids, since growing and developing and doing self work and all of these things. But at that moment, that was my why. And that was a strong enough why for me to say, what I want is financial security. Why I want it is because I never want to put my wife or anybody I love in a position of lack where I don't feel like I can do something about it. And what was I willing to do to get out of that period or out of those feelings? I was willing to do anything legally, anything legally. And what that looked like for me, and what I hope that you as an individual can decide what that looks like for you, is what are you willing to learn? What are you willing to lose? And what are you willing to leave in order to accomplish that thing that you say you want so bad? Because for most of us, and I'm so guilty of this, we'll say we want a thing, but the work and the effort that it takes to actually accomplish said thing is more than we're willing to put forth. It's more than what we're willing to do. So if your why is not strong enough, and I still feel at my core that feeling of that 24-year-old man who was just trying to figure out how to be a man when I need the extra motivation to push me through something that's challenging in the moment, especially work-wise. I say, what would it take for you to never be that guy again? And that's the motivation that I need. So as you think about those 3 L's that I just mentioned, what are you willing to learn? What are you willing to lose? And what are you willing to leave? You can start to frame out the effort that you're willing to take to be the person or to accomplish the thing you want to accomplish, or you're able to use those 3 things to at least create a framework of what you're willing to sacrifice to get to these goals that everybody talks about. So from a learning perspective, when you think about the career you're in, you think about the role you're in, or you think about, even better, the role you want to get to, there are some common things that everyone in that role or in that career path or at that level should know, need to know. So for you, it is your first objective to figure out what those things are that you need to learn. And it could be something formal, like if you want to be a leading person in accounting, then yeah, you need to know accounting. So you might need to go get your CPA, or you might need to go take a few more accounting courses because that's the path you want to go down. You want to be a controller. If you want to be a YouTuber or a podcaster as a profession, it might be a really beneficial thing to take a course on content creation. It might be a good idea to try to seek some counsel or some information online that you can use to learn and grow in that space. If you want to do anything in this world, there is a certain language, there is a certain level of understanding, and there are certain people that you may need to know to be really, really competent in that space. So ask yourself what you need to learn, ask yourself where you get the information. And even if you need to, like, get on ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT, hey, I want to do this thing. What are some key steps that I need to learn along the way to be successful? And just watch the list that it gives you. And then do the work to go follow up on that list and learn the things. Read the books, listen to the YouTube videos, buy the course if you need to buy the course. Whatever it takes to actually advance your level of information in that area, you need to be willing to do it. Otherwise, you don't really want that thing as bad as you say you want it. So learn is the first thing. The next thing is lose. What are you willing to lose to actually accomplish that goal? And when I say, what are you willing to lose? That thing can be so broad. You need to understand how much time you're willing to lose, how many relationships potentially you might be willing to lose or you need to lose to get to a space that you want to get to. That could be, negative relationships of people that bring you down, that don't share your vision, that don't share your passion, that aren't going down the right path, that are going to bring you down with them. Are you willing to lose those relationships? Are you willing to lose your community that you have right now to gain the community that you really want to be in? And this isn't talking about money, this is talking about growth as a person. Ask yourself what you're willing to lose and be willing to make that sacrifice to, have sleepless nights, to have, parties and situations or functions that you either completely miss or you just no longer get invited to because they can tell you're not on that same thing anymore. You got to be willing to lose out to gain what you really want. And last, what are you willing to leave? And when I say what, in my case, it was where am I willing to leave? I'm from Arkansas. I'm from a small town. Even when I moved to the big city for me was Little Rock, Arkansas, because I was from a much, much smaller environment. But I knew me doing finance, me wanting to be as successful as I could be in the space that I was in required me to leave the state. Like it just wasn't gonna work for me. I had to go seek out information. I had to seek out opportunities. And that meant moving from Arkansas to Dallas and from Dallas to New York and from New York to Miami or the Florida area once I started my family. And then ultimately I'm back in Dallas, which is wild. I never thought I would be back in Dallas, at least at the time of this video. But along the way, I was willing to leave a lifestyle, leave a certain level of comfort, and leave a certain environment because the opportunity was worth it, because the opportunity was so directly tied into my why that it made no sense for me to stay because staying wouldn't get me closer to my ultimate goal. So you just got to ask yourself, what connects to you emotionally enough where you're willing to sacrifice first, and then what are you willing to sacrifice second? It might take you jot some stuff down on paper or making a spreadsheet that says, I'm willing to give up X, Y, and Z every single day or every single week, or I'm willing to sacrifice this many hours to study, to watch YouTube videos, to listen to podcasts about this particular subject until I'm close to expert level at it. And then from there, I'm willing to move to wherever I need to move to for the opportunities that would be best suited for me to progress in this thing. So if you can do all of those things, I guarantee you'll be able to accomplish what you want. But you can't do that unless your why is strong and unless your willingness to sacrifice is even stronger. Um, so that was my story time. I hope this resonates. I will make more videos about this kind of stuff. But again, don't work for money. The channel, the training, the goals, the tips, the tools, they're all to help you ultimately get the job you want, excel in the career or the job that you have, and ultimately never need a job in the first place. Those three things hopefully will give you your answers to what your why is and help you make the life you want outside of whatever money you make along the way. So I love you guys. Peace out. Stay tuned to the next video.